Is Your Six Covered? And we're talking about Are We Covered? So now that we're live. So we got General Banter, we got Jennifer, Johnny Master at Arms, and Steven. Hi everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going? Appreciate the invite.
That's funny.
Hello, hello.
What's up? How's Luke doing this today?
Yeah, not bad, buddy. Not too bad. Thanks for asking yourself.
Good. You guys want to do a brief introduction? I think most of you guys are pretty much everybody knows you guys throughout the world here. So, but we'll start with Steven. Go ahead, Steven.
All right, how's it going, everybody? My name's Steven Charlton. I pretty much I used to be a firefighter medic, but I spend most of my days researching the government and how corrupt and messed up they are. It's even messed up more than I am. And I'm a prepper. I just try to prep and prepare as much as I can to be ready for when the crap hits the fan here. And I tell you, I've learned more from the panel of guests here through their YouTube videos and stuff like that than I have anywhere else. So it's always beneficial for me to come in and learn what I can.
Thanks. Johnny Master at Arms, done?
Yep, just Johnny Master at Arms done. YouTube channel, variety of different videos pertaining to guns, prepping, camping, fishing, general nonsense. Learn a lot on YouTube as well, and try to throw a little bit of information out when I get a hold of some, and that's about it.
All right, Jennifer.
Jennifer Young, host of Girls Like Guns 2, a panelist for An Informed State of Mind, and just overall have a channel where I just kind of do whatever the heck I want. Guns, outdoors, and learning lots and lots of information. And happy to be here.
Don't forget 50 States Network. Come on now.
Oh, yeah, I got so much stuff to try to...
Throw all your accolades out there now, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Contributor to 50 States News Network as well, right. So for Illinois. So thanks, Johnny.
There you go. I was wondering if that one was going to pop up or not.
Yep. I keep up with everything.
Yeah. Actually, Matt's probably going to join us tonight, hopefully, so that'll be good.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Is your show going tonight, Jen?
Just finished it. Finished it an hour ago or hour and a half ago. Had a great show.
Nice.
Had Sandy, owner of Offhand Gears, apparel and an apparel company. She was awesome. We had the most fun, and it was a great chat. And she even got at least one order tonight after the show, so it was pretty cool. So
was Tactical Lola on there?
No. No. She does her own stuff. I do my own stuff. So she has her show every Sunday or whenever she has it. So, yeah, but it was a great show, and I really appreciate all the viewers and all the support. So, and thank you for inviting me to this. I know I've seen a couple invites in the past. I just haven't had the opportunity to hop in. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm here for, but I'll do my best to be a contributor.
Hey, we're gonna have fun. Let me introduce General Banter, just because the guy's a superstar in my mind. He's helped me a lot with subscribers. So, General Banter, take it over, buddy.
You're too kind, sir. Yeah, thanks so much. I'm glad I don't have camera working, otherwise it'd be you see better my tan, my redness. It's not good. I'm not sure if I can keep up with Jen intro. She's doing a phenomenal job at that intro. Yeah, well, I'm a panelist over on the Saturday Night Chat and Informed State of Mind. General Banter channel is based on trying to create a better mindset for being prepared and trying to accommodate everybody's interaction with police to try to make things a little bit easier, I suppose. So that's kind of where it's been going. And right now, it's just been, trying to support the channel for the time being, but we'll probably shift gear in the next little while to see where it goes. But I really appreciate the invite. Like I said, I'm glad I've found some time, man. Flat out busy, and you got such a great handle on here too. I haven't seen Johnny in some time, and And Steve, I haven't seen him in a little either. So
Yeah.
good to see you guys.
There's one thing I wanted to tell you before I forget, and that's just thanks for letting the Kings have some of the Canadians, and we borrowed them for a while, and they're doing really good. So, go Kings.
Hey, you're welcome. It's what can you do? We share. We be nice. You know.
I'd like to say one more thing I forgot, if I might, before we go further. I wrote an article for resisttyranny.com, and I put it out, shared it on Resist Tyranny community, and on my G Plus page as well. So I appreciate it if y'all go by and check it out on resisttyranny.com.
That's one
You
page.
did. I saw that letter. I didn't read the whole thing, but it was well written. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely go check it out, Johnny. I know I saw the post. I just didn't have a chance to go check it out yet. So thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome.
That you posted the one with Obama. That was a pretty awesome one as well. I don't remember what the guy's name was. That was the announcer or the TV guy, but he had some great stuff up there.
Bill Whittle from PJTV.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Does he do that all the time? Is that a TV show?
No, it's a YouTube internet thing. He has his own channel called Bill Whittle, and he also contributes to a YouTube channel called PJTV.
PJTV.
Yep.
Check it out.
They're pretty good, witty and informative as well.
All right.
You can read and write, Rick. That's pretty good.
What was the name of that last one? Yeah,
PJTV.
My multitasking is gone. For sure. What are your guys' thoughts on, you guys got any new videos are coming out before we start? You got anything to promote? Anybody?
No, nothing in particular.
No, I've decided I'm going to actually start doing. I was just for a while there on my channel, which I noticed on Rick when you did your video for the 100 subscriber. My channel was the 100 subscribers, so you put my name up there. That was cool. But I was just putting up videos there to inform people. But in order to explain, it gets too confusing. So I think I'm going to start doing my own videos online there. And when you guys were off air, I was going to get your opinions of the best way to do it, because you guys have really good channels there, and any tips you can provide and everything like that. So hopefully in a couple weeks you'll start seeing my ugly mug up and doing some actual my own videos on my channel.
Good, that'll be nice.
Cool.
It's nice for the people to know, to know you. You know what I mean? To actually see you or to listen to you or whatever.
Exactly, and I'll become more famous once I marry Angelina, and they can say, "Hey, I know him from his YouTube page."
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go to the wedding.
Well, I heard Steven say all the good channels here, and obviously he's talking about everyone except me. So
Yeah, right. I was just going to say you better go over and check Jen's channel out if you want to learn how to.
I already have. I heard lots of good things about it.
Oh, good Lord!
Yeah, I want to see how your camping trip goes.
Oh yeah, don't even.
Hurry up and get your ass out there. I want to see it.
I know. Well, if I didn't have this requirement on Saturday nights, I might be able to get out more.
If you weren't in charge of like 14 different channels, you'd be rocking right now. You'd be outside.
Yeah.
Jan, on that subject, did you get that little stove head and propane butane camp stove thing that I was telling you about?
I didn't remember exactly which one because I didn't go back and look at the links, but I did get one. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I did go with that direction.
Cool.
Just because, that little one is definitely was not going to cut it. So, So yeah, I'm you know, my first trip is going to be very very easy and very simple because you know I've never done it before. So, but I am looking forward to it. I am hoping at least I won't be able to do overnight probably this weekend, but I'm hoping to at least get everything packed up and just go out on a hike and kind of do a test run of all the stuff or everything, but maybe setting up the tent. So we'll see what happens. But it'll, of course, there'll be a video of it eventually.
Yeah. Well, half of learning, you know, the best part about that is just going out is figuring out how to set your gear up in your backpack as far as weight, you know, to distribute it correctly and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot involved with just packing your backpack, you know. So
Yeah, notice that.
you know, we I don't know if you know or not, but I work for the fire service, so on wildland fires we'll go out and, you know, we carry hose packs, but then we have our packs with all our water and all that other crap on it. And it's kind of a, you know, you get used to a certain way and you want your weight in a certain spot, so you'll figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I've done day hikes, but yeah, this is something, you know, completely different because, you know, a day hike, you just throw some food and water and you go out, but you're not carrying, you know, the tent, the back, or the sleeping bag and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds cool. I think General Banner's got a new stove he's been talking about.
Yeah, I got some unboxings that I did. I got one from Deep South Experience, stand down in Florida. I won his a second prize in his 100 sub contest giveaway. It took me like 10 days to get out there and actually do the unboxing because we had shit weather up here. But I mean, it was just fantastic, and it wasn't even really an unboxing of a gift per se. It was more of a would-be, you know, selected shopping spree that was, you know, giveth unto me. It was just the better part of amazing. Within that, I had a Stanley cook pot, which was, you know, one of the actual said prizes, if you would, and a really nice case folding knife. So that was, like I said, just a real bonus. And then Mr. Shane Coffee from Tea with Coffee, we'd done a bit of a horse trade, so he'll be doing an unboxing for myself there sometime in the future when he gets some time. And so he'll kind of show what we traded, and I got a Coleman Max set from him that's, you know, he was gracious enough, and he was just going to give it to me. He just said, look, you know what, because I didn't really have a cook set. I've been using one for a long while, but it was bulky, it was cumbersome, but it worked. And I had also made a little Coleman Max set, if you would, a wannabe one out of just repurposed tin cans that was working very, very well. And there's no reason why something like that can't work, which I should maybe make that mention. You know, if you don't have those means, or even if you're in a survival mode, if you're out in an egress, you know, use your resources around you, and you'd be surprised what you can come up with. But like I said, I was very fortunate to get that, and a big thanks again to him, because he was just going to give it to me, and I said, no, I really would like to do a trade. And so we worked out something. But in addition to that, he also provided me with a T-shirt, which was fantastic, and that was a black T-shirt with the Wood Life brand label on it, and that's livethewoodlife.com. You'll want to go over and check out Jason's site over there. Fantastic, and also the wood stove, if you would, or the cook stove, which is by Emberlight, and it's, you know, a punched out metal stove that you basically put the 5 pieces together, and then the cross members on the top, and I'm getting ready to do that probably this weekend. Go out and check that out and do a video on it. So pretty cool, yeah. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So that's pretty neat to have new gear, and condensed my kit, which is nice, and you know, real good stuff. So yeah, pretty pumped.
So let's bring up the topic. The first one is let's do basically, what are your guys' thoughts, or what are you guys doing as far as, you know, as far as if you're bugging in, do you guys have, you know, family members that are going to join you? You know, not the people within your household, but do you have a group of, you know, I'll call them civilians or whatever you want to call them, or you know, they have certain items that they're good at, whether it's like you know, being a doctor, a welder, you know, someone that's in engineering and water, you know, those kind of topics that'll help you get through, say, a crisis. What do you guys Do you guys have something like that, or is it more pertaining to just your house, where you guys are going to be self-sufficient, or is it more team-oriented, where you have, say, a group of 5, 10, 6 million, I don't know, where you're going to come together at a certain point somewhere? So let's start off with Master at Arms Dunn.
Well, right now I'm in somewhat of a precarious situation. I'm in college. Just last year got out of the Navy after quite a few years. I've got 6 months left before I graduate. And when I graduate, I'm leaving Virginia. So this area is a highly populated area of Virginia, and the economy here is horrible on your pocketbook. So I'm going to try to apply my degree with my prior Navy training and find a job elsewhere. Currently, I'm looking at South Carolina. And that all depends on jobs as well as finding a place to go to. Before, I have looked into groups like you're speaking of in the area down there where I'm looking to move to. I'm not going to specify area or the group, but I was recommended this group very highly, and I was like, all right. So I was conversing with the, I guess you say the head guy of the group, the retreat group, via email, and started off sounding really good. And then the more I talked to them, it was just their requirements were just too high for my situation. So I couldn't meet their minimum requirements anyway, but then just for networking purposes, I kept talking to them, and I just it come about to where I got the funny feeling that they wasn't a group that I would want to be with.
Yeah.
Just their I guess their values didn't sync with mine, and I'm not saying they were bad people. It's just it wouldn't have been a good fit. So I, quit talking to them and really quit looking for a group as well, because the area that I'm hoping to move to, that's predominantly the only group there.
Got it.
But I do know one or two other people, just individuals that live in that area, that are, I consider, good friends, and so I would probably, we would try to work something out as just a small individual, 2 or 3 some kind of deal, to network together and help support each other in that way. Once I'm able to plant my feet somewhere and call it home. My end goal is to find a place to plant roots and call home, and unless something crazy drastic happens, I won't be bugging out. It would be, homesteading type thing, where I would, in a perfect, situation, have enough land to where I could at least grow a garden big enough to sustain my little family group.
Mm-hmm. That's a good answer. I mean, a lot of people, depending on where, like, right now I'm living where I grew up, so I know a lot of people, and in the fire service, I, meet a lot of people that are kind of the same, oriented the same, and, you basically, you learn a lot from them working with them, so you get to the point where you can really trust these individuals, and some of the issues or some of the differences that are coming up is when I do move from here, I'm going to move to a different state, which is basically north of where you're thinking of moving, and it's basically start over. It's find friends, but you can only trust them to a certain point, until you really know someone and that kind of stuff. So I'm going from basically a little group of people that have each other's backs to when we do move, which if we ever sell this house, It'll be a completely different story. It'll be new guy in town, not know anybody. So I got that to deal with.
Yeah.
What about you, Jen?
I could probably have the shortest conversation here. Yeah, obviously I have
There's
not.
lots of uhs and ands and stuff.
Yeah. I think I used all those in my chat, so I'm out of uhs and ums. It's one of the things that I have only recently started to do is even prepare for, the natural disasters that happen in Illinois, which obviously are tornadoes. As far as anything else, as far as finding other people, to be in a group with, that type of thing, I have a neighbor who probably would be someone like that. He's former military and has a lot of skills from that. But other than that, really no idea. I still consider myself fairly new in just all of this. I don't like to use. I don't mean anything negative by not saying the word prepping, but I just don't like that word in preparing for whatever it is you're preparing for, whether it's an SHTF or natural disaster.
Here's a word. How about covering your six?
Say that again?
Is that trademarked?
Yeah. I don't have the little cool TM like General Banter, but working on it.
But the thing here, with me is, I'm out here on YouTube and Google, and I'm learning a lot of this stuff, and I can start to figure out what I may need to do. I'm not like Johnny where I live in a highly urban area. I mean, I do live in an urban area, but it's more low density as opposed to high density. So, and I live pretty much right almost on the edge of it. I mean, I can look out my window and I see agriculture. I see corn and bean fields. So, the area is not all that built up to where if the world would, end, so to speak, there's not 2 million people trying to figure out what the hell to do. But like I said, I'm here to learn, and I think General Banter says that a lot. It's like you're always learning. It's like absolutely.
For sure. I agree with that 100%. And that's the thing, just being here, learning, hopefully, and that's the reason why I put that on there, hopefully we can all learn from each other, come up with some different ideas, because there's 100 different ways to skin a cat, as they say. So, whether it's, I don't know, storing ammo. I mean, you can come up with about 80,000 ways to store ammunition. So, whatever it is, it's good to learn a different way. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and I use it as an educational tool. I mean, sometimes my wife's like, "Oh, you're on YouTube again," blah blah blah, but I'm learning something while she's watching TV and wasting time. Basically, is how I think of it. Whether it's learning how to use some cool stove that you make out of a tuna can or whatever the case may be. It's maybe I will have a tuna stove today and need to turn it into a stove. So cool. How about you, Steve? I kind of skipped over you, bud. I'm sorry.
No, that's not a problem. I don't have like a group that's going to come over or anything like that. I live in rows of townhouses, unfortunately, and in my predicament, because I got medical problems, I'm going to have to bug in. I don't have a choice, so I don't have a lot of group that's going to come over. However, everybody in the area knows I'm the medical guy, so I've got a lot of stuff. I've got 3 hospital beds that I can set up down in my basement, and I've got way more supplies than I ever should have or need. Just need a defibrillator, that's about it, and stuff like that. So they all know that they can come over and get help from me in a medical way. Unfortunately, with myself, I'm in Canada, and a lot of people still don't think, oh, it's not going to happen here. It's going to happen in the States, but it won't happen here. Well, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of difference between us. And because of the North American Union thing that they signed a few years ago there, we're part of it whether we like it or not. You guys have some FEMA camps here, or your military stores, a bunch of stuff here. It's one or the other. So unfortunately, getting groups together is a lot harder where I am, but I just know that I'm going to help. I'm just going to be my own group bugging in, but I'm going to help where I can at my strongest points. And as I said, medical is my strongest point. I just, I find that a lot of people that I speak to on it are, okay, I'm getting 25 guns and 60,000 rounds of ammunition, but they've only got 2 days worth of food or water kind of thing. And there's so much more you need than just that kind of thing. But no, education is definitely something that's really been helping me out. I've actually sent it to general banter and stuff. I've got a database that I have thousands of prepper books and stuff like that I get from people all over the net, and I'm learning so much from that stuff that you'd never think of that will definitely save your hide. And I just recommend to people to learn as much as you can, because it's literally could very well save your life or save the life of your loved ones. One other thing that I really wanted to add here today is, I guess it's just me personally, but for some unfortunate reason, a lot of people I know, a lot of my friends lately have either been getting hurt or passing away. And I'm trying to encourage people that are preppers or have stuff that you may have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't share it with your family, they're going to have a problem. So I encourage you to share as much of your knowledge with your family members as you can, or even have a little book that you can write down in and say, hey, this is how this works. This is something I printed off from the internet that will explain how to this. And so that if you're not around, even if you're just at a different location, not necessarily sick or disabled or passed away, but even if you're just at another location, it's stuff that they can figure out how to use quite easily. So that I'd recommend as well. But no, it's just going to be me and just helping out the neighbors and stuff where I can without taking away from my family reserves.
That brings up a good point. I mean, you could be the best surgeon in the world, but what if you're hurt?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're hoping that the people that are around you, like yourself, that have some medical background.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, kind of why those group things kind of work good, unless you're just you have what's that saying? Jack of all trades, master of none, or whatever that is.
But the only reason I don't like the groups is, again, there's not as many here in Canada, but the thing is I'm the type of person that I don't want to rely on anybody and then they fail me and then I'm screwed. I would much rather say, okay, this is the information I have on this. If there's somebody else there to help me, that's great. Thank God there's somebody else there to help me. But it's just people act a lot differently when it comes to in an emergency. Like Rick, we're both firefighters. I'm sure you've seen some rookies that come in that think they know the world, and once they get into fire and emergency, they're totally different and they're crying for mom kind of thing.
You're a little puppy sitting on the engine.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to depend on anybody that could possibly be a hindrance than a help. So if I just try to depend on myself and my family members, and then, as I said, if I have other things there or other people there that can help me, that's great.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Matt, welcome to Isyour6covered channel.
Hey, man, how you doing?
How's it going? There's
All
Mr. Plethora of Knowledge. I don't know if you guys know him or not. His name's Matt. This is Tyranny. Guy's got a big bucket of brain knowledge right there, let me tell you. Welcome.
I appreciate that.
I don't recognize him. Who is he again?
I don't know. He's that one guy that you saw on, I think, America's Most Wanted, maybe.
That was old episodes.
Oh, those were, yeah. Those were leading up. We were talking about, I don't know, were you listening earlier on the thing, Matt?
I got here a little late. I've been here for about 10 minutes, so.
Okay, yeah, we're just basically talking about kind of some of our plans, whether we're people that have an idea, more of a group kind of idea of, staying together, or if it's more of a single family, like just who's ever in your house kind of deal. So if you got anything you want to add to that, we got general banter as well.
Well, first of all, hello to everybody on the panel. I think I know everybody here except for Steven there.
Oh, I'm a big fan of your page, so I know you.
Oh,
He's like Elvis. That's Elvis right there.
I appreciate that, Steven. I think when it comes to like teaming up with people or just being family, it really depends on where you're at. I obviously, if you're depending on the area you're in, you group survival, so to speak, you have a better chance of surviving. There's more hands to do more work. Of course, this is like, when I say that, like a natural disaster or maybe the electrical grid goes down or something like that, not a police state type situation or government takeover or whatever you want to call it. Obviously then everybody needs to hide as much as possible. But if you're in a situation where you like I said, natural disaster or a grid down situation, more hands, more work equals just a easier surviving. But if you're bugging out and you got to go hike out in the woods or make a camp or something, you're probably hiding at that point. So the less people, the better.
True.
True to a point, I think I would argue a little bit with at least enough people to rotate maybe a night shift and a day shift or something, I don't mean a lot of people. I was thinking like 6 to 8,
For the bugging out scenario?
Yeah, basically you could kind of, in my mind, I was, if like me, it's basically my wife and my 2 kids. So, you can have a 500 zillion guns, but if you don't have the manpower to run some people with a few weapons to keep you, so you can get a little sleep, make some food kind of stuff, and rotate some shifts around. And I don't mean a lot of people. I'm just saying enough to get that accomplished, I think, is an idea as well.
Oh, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, when I said less, I didn't necessarily mean 1 or 2, but if you had 4 or 5, I mean, personally, I think 8's much, but I mean, that's just really, again, depends where you are.
Yeah.
If you're, here in Ohio where there's a lot of wooded area and a lot of flat land, and I mean, is going to be a different situation than somebody that's in, say, Alaska, where, you're talking about big wooded areas, lots of predators, and inclement weather.
True. Good point. Very good point. How about General Banner? You got some cop buddies up there that you have an plan with?
Yeah, I mean, where I live here on the island, I do. Like-minded people, you stick together, I suppose. It's a combination between what everybody said so far. It is definitely going to depend on the scenario that you're facing, right? I mean, that's going to be pretty key. It's also going to depend on the resources that you're going to have available, what you've been able to prepare for, what you've been able to plan ahead for. If you're bugging in, what you've prepped for, what you've planned with the people that you're in that group with, how well you trust them, how long you've been prepping with them, how well everybody works under pressure. The key thing is that if you're, say, doing it, Rick, with yourself and your 2 children and your wife, of course, if something happens to you where you're not able anymore, can your wife fulfill those roles and responsibilities that you would normally do? And if not, this is where it would be ideal to have a secondary or a third or fourth to split that up. But again, pre-planning and depending on how well everybody's educated and the knowledge that comes with that, the more knowledge, of course, it can mean that you may have the ability to limit some of the resources you'll need because you have more knowledge. But again, any fool can be uncomfortable. So again, taking it serious and preparing and planning and is always definitely the key. But like I say, it will always depend on the scenario. You may not have enough time to get your resources together, i.e. the people, depending on where they're located, depending on what it is. People might be displaced in your group. Coming back together might be an issue. And again, if it's a plague, for instance, let's just say a plague, maybe some people in your group are going to get sick. So what happens then? I mean, that's a big deal. Do you keep them in? Do you support them? Do you hold on to them until they've got the rest of your crew sick? Or do you put them out? You have to outcast them and say, look, you know what? It's preservation, and they have to be on board with that. So there's so many things to think about. You really have to have a tight group if you're going to go the group theory. That's just how I look at it. But again, a lot of talking, a lot of planning, and so kind of how I look at it. And of course, we've seen my videos, and if you haven't, well, they're in the vault, and so you know where my prepper mindset is, I suppose. I kind of hate the word prepper, but I've never really used it. It's just I'm kind of with Jen on that. It's a prepared mind, and again, knowledge is power, right? So
For sure.
Now, I got a little question for both Luke and Rick there. Because you're like me, both in emergency services, now that I'm out because of my diabetes, I don't have to worry about it, but it's a question I could never answer. If there was something dramatic happening, at what point do you stop being a firefighter or a cop and say, okay, I got to stop doing this and I got to start being a father? Or,
I covered
husband.
that in one of my videos.
Oh, did you?
I
Sorry.
I had to cover that in one of my videos. It was a recap I did early on in my vault because someone called me out on that. And that was back when I was referring to law enforcement. They said, so what you're going to do is you're going to leave your post in a shift scenario. And I said, look, there's a propane explosion or a propane leak or a chemical leak in a rail yard, something like that. That's a little bit different than a full-out shift scenario. If I look at this and say we're not coming back from this, this is serious, we're not coming back from it, then what am I worried about my post for?
Yeah,
What is my priority? My priority is my family, and that will absolutely come first. So it's not a question in my mind,
Yeah,
go ahead.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that the police, fire, they're going to do the exact same thing. That's what basically I'm going to do. I live in Southern California, so we rock and roll around here all the time. There's earthquakes. Everybody's basically used to it. I don't think very many people in California or even Southern California even prepare or plan. There's a few out there. And that's a lot of of what people that do prepare for out here are preparing for is a large scale earthquake. We've had them in the past. Stuff's basically gone down for a while, and it's taken a long time sometimes for the stuff to get back to normal. But to answer your question, Stephen, it's basically I live a few miles from work, so whatever's gonna interrupt me at work is basically interrupting my family. You know what I mean? So I know I'm not driving 2 hours where there might be a difference of, at ground zero or the epicenter, is going to be different. It's going to be, I'm close enough to my house so I'm going to know. I'm going to do what I can as long as if my house is still standing and my family's fine, I'm going to go to work as usual and help people that have, if there's a structure collapse, that's what we do. We could go crawl in there and get people out. But it's if everything's good at the home front, I'll continue to work. If I can't get a hold of them, I'm driving home. So that's my answer.
That's what's kind of interesting that most people I don't think really understand is that if it's a full-out shift scenario, you can use your imagination on what that's going to be. But infrastructure such as emergency services will slowly start to shut down by design, or lack thereof, maybe is what I want to say. Or
look at Katrina.
Well, there you go. So you're going to have people that are going to still go to work and do their thing, providing that their family is not displaced. And even if they are displaced, as soon as they're taken care of, then they go in, they can check into the clock and do their duty. But again, it's going to really depend. If we look at a pandemic situation, the hospitals are going to be filled very, very quickly, and it's going to be a lost cause. I can pretty much, and I think you know that, Steve. So,
Absolutely.
So again, you're going to say, okay, self-preservation is going to be what it's going to come down to, because your self-preservation, of course, is the preservation of your family. Again, it's always going to depend on that scenario. The reality is, it doesn't matter what job we take. You got to figure out what you're actually fighting for. If you're fighting for your country, you know that it's because your people at home are okay, and you're trying to stop and preserve that and keep it that way. But the moment that's that threat, well, you're going to still keep standing the line until you have to back up to your front doorstep, if that's the case, because you can't hold it off away from the doorstep no more. And then again, that forces you to stay at home. But, like I say, that's just how I look at it.
Well, like another good example is the riots. I think it was 92. We got dispatched to go help with LA City for the riots in 92. And basically the copycat city was Moreno Valley. So they decided to kind of do the same thing, but it was on a smaller scale, and it's to the southeast, probably 40 minutes or so, 50 minutes or whatever. But you can kind of tell, and that's how I kind of grade things that go on. If there was a big problem, LA is basically going to turn to crap first, and it's going to work its way out from there. So you start reading TV, you start watching TV or whatever, and mass chaos is going on there. It's basically just going to it's going to grow. And once it hits Moreno Valley, that's kind of your, because I'm a ways from Moreno Valley, that's kind of like my trigger point of basically, hey, time to lock the doors, board up some stuff, and try to stay home. And those are the kind of things that help you out, especially not being in a too big of a city. You kind of have a little bit of a fuse that you can watch burn before it blows up.
Mm-hmm. Now, for the three on here that aren't involved with emergency services, what do you think about what we just said, to the point that as quote-unquote a normal person, that the fire department or police or ambulance may not be there for you, even though we're supposed to be, but we may not be there for you because we've left the work to attend to our own families. Do you think an oath is an oath, or do you think that we have the right to go to our own families before we go back to work?
I'll take that. No, I expect you to take care of you and yours first, and quite honestly, and no disrespect to anybody here or anybody listening, I don't put my life in any of you guys' hands in any way, shape, or form. I will be trying to take care of me and mine. Obviously, I won't be able to perform surgeries and all this other stuff, but everything up to that, I'm hoping to be at least moderately prepared enough to handle your general emergencies that do come up in a shit hit the fan scenario. And I have limited medic, I guess you'd call it medic training or first aid training. As a Master at Arms in the Navy, I had to take basic combat medic and basic first aid and stuff like that. So I need more training as far as sutures and stuff like that, and I'm not trying to sit here and say I can handle gunshot wounds and stuff like that, but you just have to do what you can, and then get help. Hopefully I will know somebody by the time, if something were to really pop off, that would be a little bit better trained than me. And that was the hope that I have, to at least know a neighbor or something that is a nurse or like an emergency room medic or something like that knows further medical attention than I do. But I am working on building up my medical supplies enough to where most everything else could be handled on our own.
Well, like me, Johnny, you also got basic firefighting in the Navy.
Yes.
And but I don't expect emergency services to run at all. I mean, Stephen mentioned Katrina earlier, and I was down there for that. I lived in Baton Rouge when Katrina hit, which is only a half hour, 40 minutes from New Orleans, and I mean, talk about emergency services being busy. I don't. They're going to be able to tend to only so much, but then there's that caveat where their own families are in danger. So
Yeah.
I don't really expect to see a fire truck coming down my road if something bad happens at that point. I don't expect to see an ambulance or EMS. I don't.
Okay.
No, that's exactly right, though. I mean, Matt said it right. I mean, it's the important thing to understand, and hence why we have this chat, for instance, and why we have these channels, and we put out these videos. Is the idea is we want people to understand the importance of being prepared and preparing and gathering your knowledge and trying to prioritize through risk assessment and so on through your own home, your own homestead, and what your egress route may be and so on, from whether it's work to back to your homestead or from your homestead to your egress designation, whether that's 3 different locations, if it's upstate to Uncle Jack's place, because that's more appropriate, or to your bug out location. Now, again, doing that risk assessment to know that's going to, how that's going to unfold. But like Matt said, the inundated, scenario that's going to play out for emergency services is going to be huge. So if their families and everything is going to be okay, and you still got active members out there doing the job, they're going to have to go to a priority or a prioritization of emergencies, and simple break and enters or rioting or a small looting is not going to be on that. It's not going to be on the list. Small fires, even maybe larger fires, may not be on that list. Keeping a core structure in place so they can run will be a priority for them in the beginning, and they'll start to branch out once they know that they have the priorities taken care of course. And that's just going to be, following that priority list, of course, and keeping it going. So, like for instance, when I talked about it in another video, where can you potentially lock down and secure a community or a community block? Yeah, it can be done. But you'd have to. There's a lot of homework to be done. You have to get in touch with everybody in your neighborhood on that block. How are you going to seal off that block? It should be rolling roadblocks and such, so you can get emergency services in or emergency care out if need be to seek out emergency or more advanced medical care facility like Johnny was saying. So there's so much to consider and think about and gather knowledge on. To try to be, self-sufficient as possible. Again, like Johnny was saying, there's no expectation, and the better, I think, more people understand that and embrace that idea, that if you don't have an expectation, you'll take on more of that responsibility for yourself to say, this is my priority, my family is my priority, and it is my responsibility. And if you have emergency services, that's a bonus. That's just a bonus. So, yeah.
And I would like to add to that also that depending on the situation, I mean, if you have something that's, say, just a natural disaster, there's not a whole lot of looting going on, if any, and you see emergency services are rolling down your road, you're probably pretty safe. Now, on the other hand, if the world's just gone to hell, and I mean, you can't trust anybody at that point. I'm going to assume the cop, the EMS guy, the fireman coming down my road is probably there because he needs something I have.
Yeah, no, but don't rule that out.
I'm sorry I laugh, and it's just funny.
Yeah, but don't rule that out. He's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It comes down to when the shit hits the fan, it's everybody fend for themselves potentially, and
yeah, it's a DTA situation. Don't trust anybody.
All right.
Hey, look at this fact here. Remember that movie World War Z? They had a movie. There was a grocery store scene where everybody was inside. It was looting and what have you. and somebody was in there basically trying to have their way with Buddy's wife. He shoots back at him. He ends up nailing him with a rifle, and all of a sudden a cop comes running in the door, and Brad Pitt puts up his hands, right? And the cop runs right past him and grabs up on all the baby food he can. You know, to me, that is going to be an absolute bang-on scenario in, say, a pandemic or a real shit hit the fan scenario, and you can bank on it. Why? Because self-preservation and survival is primal, and it will kick in.
Exactly.
And so Matt is absolutely bang on, and that's a really good point, Matt.
And it's funny because that's the exact thing I was thinking of when I said that. That exact scene that you're talking about is what was rolling, the film that was rolling in my head right before I said it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But Luke, I gotta give you a hard time. You're in Canada, so it's World War Z. Not
yeah, good. I've got an American panel most of my time, Steven. So you'll have to bear with me. I forget you're Canadian, so
all right.
thanks for being on the panel.
Sorry, I took took over your conversation there, Rick. There, I didn't mean for that question to go that long.
Great question. That's the thing. We can talk about whatever the heck we want. We can talk about the Kings kicking butt last night.
How many smokers do we have in here?
I'm smoking a pipe right now if it makes any difference.
What are you going to do week 1 when you don't have any tobacco anymore?
Have a conniption fit and slap somebody.
I mean, that's
Hell with the ammo,
seriously,
you want smokes.
well, that's something to seriously consider. I mean, a lot of people store tobacco. I mean, it's useful for a lot of things, but a lot of people do. Excuse me?
Major barter item. That and coffee. Gold, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not a smoker, and I know that tobacco goes stale. So how long can you store that kind of stuff?
Mason jars, baby. Mason jars.
Hey, old anything's better than nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If there wasn't a lady in the room, I'd say something. But anyway.
Hey, I watched the guy at the fire station with a thing of milk. He held the chunks in as he poured it in his cereal.
Oh.
You can have milk. So old anything is better than nothing.
You can store packs of cigarettes in the refrigerator or freezer. Now, granted, if true shit hit the fan, most people's power will go out. But if you're thinking about maybe not being a non-smoker and stashing a few just for barter or whatever, you could put it in the freezer. Now, I can't give you a definitive answer on how long it will last, but I know it does prolong the freshness of a carton of cigarettes.
At that point, though, it's just taste. You still get, and I'm talking, not only the bartering, but I'm just talking about the addiction. And the nicotine is still there. It's going to be harsh. It's going to taste like crap, but the nicotine is still there. I mean, and really, I mean, when you're talking about prepping, when you're talking about survival, psychologically, you need to be in shape, and if your mind's not there, the rest of you might as well not have stored anything. You might as well show up empty-handed if your mind's not there. And so people that have drug habits, people that have smoking habits, people that have drinking problems and habits, these are all things that once those things aren't available anymore, you do go through a period of time where your mind is a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the first people who are going to go, though. I mean, honest to God. I mean, when you talk about prioritizing and looking at, well, who are the people who are going to survive in a full-out shift scenario, we already know that people who are, are dependent on any kind of medication, if they don't have that prep, with all due respect to anybody out there, I talk about that, I think, in part 4 of one of my survival series, but it is something that you really need to consider and prep for, especially if you got members of your family who are on life support. Even in a power failure or a situation like Katrina, again, hospitals are going to be inundated so they're not going to have the life support systems available. They just won't have the numbers, and so that is such an amazingly great point. But the psychological aspect of it, even going hungry, okay, will start to be a major psychological issue. And on top of addictions and such. But those people with major addictions and such, those are the people you have to worry about in the beginning, but eventually they'll snuff themselves out because of that fact alone. They won't be able to keep their shit together, and that'll be it. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I am right now. Like, I've got neuropathy because of my diabetes, and I'm on pain patches of fentanyl, which is 10 times more powerful than morphine. And if I have to go without that, I'm really messed. There's no way I could probably even walk. So I'm scared about stuff like that. But as far as you smokers, would it make sense to maybe prep away some of those smoker patches? Was that something you guys would consider doing?
Oh, sure. I don't have any, but yeah.
Well, proper prepping would be to quit.
Yeah.
Realistically, I mean, because there's a bunch of people in the audience right now sitting there going, quit.
Quit, quit. Get one of these and then be addicted to this stupid electric cigarette bull crud.
Well, talking about psychological, problems, if anybody has spent any kind of time, you have the people out there that are planning on doing it on their own, like me. I've got no family here. There's a potential for me to be moving somewhere out of state, but that's a different plan altogether. But right now, I have what I think I need. I don't have what I think I need. I am prepping for what I think I need, and I also have pets. And people need to understand the usefulness of pets. And everybody says, "Oh yeah, you can eat them later." No, not for food. Having another living creature by your side is a great psychological advantage.
Other than a face drawn on a volleyball.
Other than Wilson. If you don't have Wilson, but yeah, having another living creature, human or not, by your side is a huge psychological advantage. So if you have pets, you need to make sure you prep for them too, because they can be a lifesaver. There's a reason medical places, there's a reason psychological places and psych facilities use pets with their patients.
Yep.
And not only that, especially if you've got a dog, you can't have a better security system. Right? They can hear things that you can't, and they'll bark they'll bark and let you know. So.
But I mean, aside from that, again, it is food for thought, though. I mean, cats, dogs, whatever. There wasn't a cat left, in Holland, when the war was going on. So, the reality is that, at the worst case scenario, if you got to keep the kids alive, well, I mean, that's it, right? But yeah, I mean, Matt's absolutely right. There is a reason why they use it in therapy and so on. You know what I mean? Even goldfish, for Pete's sake. I mean, have you even heard that aspect of it? It's something that's living, moving, and you can interact with, so to speak. It depends on you, and you can kind of have that feeling for sure. No doubt about it. That's a good point.
Now, Stephen, you were talking about silver. What do you guys think? I mean, I understand that having silver is good because of the economic collapse and the dollar ain't worth crap, but if I have silver and I want to buy somebody some, what the hell is silver really? What are you going to do with it? I mean, unless you're hunting, what is it, werewolves or whatever gets killed by silver or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? If you have the other stuff that people really want, food, water, ammunition, firearms, and there's a lot more to it. But what I'm saying is, I understand about preparing, and having some silver. But if someone's going to hand me some silver and I'm expected to give him some, I'm trading them for some ammo, what am I really going to do with that silver?
Well, it's for when. Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
No, well, I didn't mean to interrupt. The only thing that I would see silver and gold and stuff like that useful for, and that's, let's just say, shit hitting fan scenario has capped off, and 5, 6, 10 years later, however long it takes to start a stabilization and gradual recovery, then that would be, probably the only form of currency accepted. But in the initial first, 0 day to whatever day, first few years or whatever, it's going to be just as useless as lead, with the exception that lead could be made into bullets. But
so could silver.
But well, true, but it's harder to make silver into bullets, and if you don't believe me, ask TR Prepper because he tried it. But it's it would be something as there was a recovery coming up, but in the initial phase, I agree with just your thoughts on that. It would be useless to you and everybody else.
Well, I personally believe we have to have some sort of something with some sort of value we need to keep, because once the dollar bill crashes, and I truly believe it's going to happen, the dollar bill is not going to be worth the paper it's written on. You can go to any country in the world, and silver is worth something. They can they have a money on it. So, Johnny, you're right. Where the first little bit it's not going to be worth anything, but after, I think, even 30 to 60 days, they're going to start. That's going to be your only thing. After barter is going to be the only thing you could trade with that it's worth money, like that that you can get something back for it. And that's why I hang on to it. Like, I don't have a lot, but like, for example, I know the Canadian Mint, and people from the U.S. can buy from the Canadian Mint. They have $20 coins on for $20, and I just bought 3 of those. And I know that I buy those, but even if something doesn't happen, I know that there's still money. I can go and cash them in at any time. But I can take silver to Pakistan. I can take it to England. I can deal with somebody from I don't know, Chile, and it's going to be worth something there, where our dollar bill won't. So
no, I agree. I agree with your point, and I wouldn't discourage anybody if they had the means right now to save some. I have a few coins, not many, but I have a few. But I will disagree with you on one point. I think you're being over optimistic when you say 60 to 90 days after a catastrophic shit hit the fan scenario, whatever your scenario may be, where silver would be barterable. People look at you like you're crazy if you offer them silver for a bucket of rice, because they're going to be like, hell no. It's not going to be worth it to them to trade at that point. Later down, year 2, 3, as because in my mind, I see in a shit hits fan scenario is like economic collapse, or something to that effect. I don't really see. I'm not going with the natural disaster because those happen every day, but an economic collapse, it's going to be mass rioting and looting, and it's not going to be over within just a few weeks. It's going to last. I think it will last 3 to 5 years of all hell has broke loose, and you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody willing to trade anything for any form of silver, because they're out for food and for supplies of shelter, ammunition, shit like that.
So you think it'll mostly be barter?
Yeah, and I don't see silver or gold involved in that barter for at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really seen anything like to that level of what we're talking about. So it's hard to predict. But in the other instance, I would suggest that Johnny's absolutely bang on right. I don't know whether or not, but this is where I go to the idea of supporting the fact of sheltering in place or staying in your castle. Ultimately, in a major shit hit the fan scenario, you're going to want to be isolated. You're going to have a better chance at defending. It's like when I talk about, defending a block. You look at it from a couple different angles. That's just a lot more area to cover and a lot more problems that can arise in there. a lot more difference of opinions, and so on and so forth. But eventually, if you're in an urban area and you got locked down and you think you got it covered, eventually they'll overtake your castle, especially if they know you got something. You're the only house on the block that hasn't been taken yet. They see the bodies outside, but eventually people they're gonna keep trying. Now, if you're gonna survive them through 3 years, I don't think so. Eventually, again, what kind of wilderness setting are you going to go to? I think it was Matt that said something about, well, if you were in Alaska, perhaps. If you go to God's country or no man's land, you might have a better chance then. But again, that's only going to come through preps and being prepared already. Somebody once said, if you weren't off the grid, living off the land now, in a full-out shift scenario, or an economic collapse that just doesn't come back for years, you're probably not going to make it. And I would suggest that that's probably not too far off, and that's spooky, because I think that I'm a pretty prepared fella, and I think that me even making my move all the way out to this little island on the edge of Canada was a pretty smart move in a lot of different ways. Now, I wouldn't have been very confident if I didn't have that prepper mindset, or at least a survival instinct about me, and having knowledge to know how to live off the land, for instance, because this land will be no damn good on this island. And some people say, yeah, you just basically trapped your family onto a friggin' island. You'll have no resources, no nothing. Well, the land is the resource. That's not the issue. It's the knowledge that's going to go with it to make that work that's going to be the key. So, there you go.
Well, I was also collecting silver too, because in my situation, because of the medical, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be around that long. So I'm trying to get something that could support my family long term. And so if you guys had to pick, you would give up silver and just buy more bartering bartering articles like liquor and cigarettes and stuff like that? Do you think that'd be a better move then?
Sorry, go ahead, Resist.
Well, I would just, one of the things, and in the numerous prepping conversations I've had with people is and silver and gold always inevitably come up, is if you can afford it, I always suggest silver and gold if you can afford it, but make it your last thing, because you can't eat it, you can't grow anything with it, you can't drink it.
Yeah.
And like Johnny said, the next time you'll be able to use it is a long time down the road.
Mm-hmm.
They call it a rich man's prep, is what I've heard it being referred to, and I agree with that.
I'm definitely not rich.
Well, but a rich man's prep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's heavy to carry as well. It's
Well,
So if you got to bug out and then you go, well, I'm going to bring the gold with me or the silver, it's pretty heavy.
You'd be more apt to take 5 pounds of sugar or salt than you would, 5 pounds of silver, I suppose. But I say a rich man's prep because the fact is you may need to be rich to actually acquire it. The other thing is if you're a rich person already, there's a good chance that you're well set up. If you had that prepared mindset. There's a lot of rich people out there who have no freaking clue. And they're probably the ones that will first go or shoot themselves because they'll panic when the rest of the world falls apart around them.
Mm-hmm.
Realize their money's not worth nothing, or they can't get it because it's in a bank.
And Stephen, my I'm by no means no absolute expert on jack shit, but you were talking about either silver or diverting some of that money that you would spend on silver for like cigarettes and alcohol for bartering and stuff like that. I think part of what Banter just said and what I'm about to say would be you're better than cigarettes or liquor. Even though I agree cigarettes or liquor would be something you could barter, but if you let's just say you got $100 to spend on some silver or some other type of prep, I would, like you said, you spent basically $60 on those 3 coins. I would buy one of those coins and I'd take that other $80 and I would buy sugar and coffee and seed vaults, the cans of multiple seeds, gardening seeds. Those would be more valuable in a barter situation than any bottle of liquor or cigarette, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
even I'm a smoker. I don't particularly drink liquor, even though I do love a beer. But if I were in need and I came to you and you had cigarettes and liquor, but you also had sugar and you had seeds and coffee and stuff like that, I would trade what I had to get some of those seeds and probably some of that coffee and sugar well before I'd even, and like Jennifer just put in the internal salt, before I would
Yeah.
even think about a cigarette or some damn liquor,
Mhm.
because I got kids, I got some, small ones and practically grown ones, so those seeds could feed us. That liquor and that cigarette's all it is going to go is, I know in my mind, and even though I do smoke, all that's going to do is kill me quicker and leave them without somebody to help lead them.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I would come to you knowing you had extra seeds and such before I would ever even think about coming to you to get a bottle of liquor so I could crawl up under a tree and get fucked up.
Yeah.
Johnny's
No,
bang
my-
on with that. Here's what a rule of thumb is with any shift scenario or an economic collapse. What is the one thing that you hear people say the most about that? What our environment is going to be like? It's going to be putting us into the Stone Age or the Pioneer days. So if we look at it that way, what did they actually use back in those days, or what was the main trade or barter? And so if you look at it that way, you can't go wrong. And you look at the general store aspect when wives or husbands would go in and they would maybe trade their furs or trade some vegetables that they had grown on the farm to trade off something. It's going to be the salt, sugar, flour, the main cooking items. Even here on this island, for instance, these are the things that people would buy at the end of the year and put away for the winter time. If there's eggs or butter or whatever the case is even some of the luxury items. You know what I mean? But so there you go.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Luke. But for one thing, for example, when I first started, I started doing that stuff. But ask around, just as a little test. Ask around, see how many people know how to make bread. So hardly anybody. So there's no. I found no. Well,
here's
you
the thing.
might.
In the city, in the city, no, you're probably right. But on
Yeah.
my island, that is an absolute traditional. Everybody knows how to do it. It's a handed down application of life. I mean, every woman and even men know how to do it. I'm one of those people. Sometimes I make bricks. Jen knows this. Sometimes I make bricks. Sometimes I make bread. My wife makes bread every time. She can do it from scratch. She can do it without eggs. She can do it, with bare minimal stuff. I've made flour, cakes, if you would, when I stayed up in the wilderness for 3 months when I was 16, and ate porcupine on my 16th birthday. The cake sucked, but I mean, there you go. So
Was it prickly?
Again, no, I took the prickles off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I left the guts to the river too. But I mean, here it is. It is a mainstay. I mean, it's something that everybody does. Making bread. I mean, the older women here, especially. I mean, you can't find anybody who's over the age of 40 that don't know how to make bread.
Mhm.
So again, it depends on where you live. But you're right. If you were in an urban setting, you're probably not going to find that. But like Johnny said, when it comes down to actually feeding your family, somebody's going to figure out how to make flour pancakes in a frickin' hurry just to eat. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
What's hard?
above whatever else.
What's hard though about we were talking about bartering and that kind of stuff is that's almost back as as it finally gets to Pioneer days. It's basically going to be barbaric, for a while till stuff settles down and you might trade stuff with your neighbor that you've already known for a long time. Where hey, do you got any salt? I'll trade you for some flour, whatever the case is. But I don't see that. I don't see that getting to a point right away. Like there's going to be, in my mind, there's going to be, basically hunker down. You don't want nobody to know about anything that you have. You fight them off from the house or whatever if you're bugging in. And then as civilization starts to, the little seed finally pops out and there's little pieces of grass again. Those little knit communities where you're walking and building a relationship with. I don't see the bartering right away. So that's one of the things. You got to be able to, protect your stuff as well. Not let people know it's there as well in the beginning. I feel.
So Jennifer, you've been quiet. Anything to add?
Well, I had to fend off the NSA for a little bit there, so as you noticed, I dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking in a lot of this stuff. As when Johnny was talking, I threw in there the salt because we think about, if you think about what 500-600 years ago, well, even before that, what were some of the most highly prized items in the world? It wasn't gold, it wasn't silver, it was spices, including salt. And there's a reason for that, because food preservation. I mean, it wasn't to make things taste good. It wasn't to enhance the flavor of whatever it was. It was used to
preservation.
It was used to mask the flavor of what it was, of whatever it was, and it was also used for preservation. You think about killing a deer, killing an elk, killing whatever it was. Well, didn't have refrigeration, so what did you use to store that food? Well, you salted the heck out of it, threw in some coriander, basil, whatever it was, to mask the flavor of the fact that it was rotting while you were preserving it, and you threw it, you hung it, or you threw it in the ground, and that's what you lived on until the next season. So that's a huge. I think, like it's being said though, how many people are going to know how to do that? I think you nailed it. A lot of people are not going to know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done gravlax before. Basically the where you take salmon and do that exact thing. So, I could probably get away with doing that, but there's a lot of other things I wouldn't have a clue doing. So that was why I had thrown in salt. Another thing too, cooking fat of some sort, whether it's a butter, whether it's an oil, a lard. That's also something else that's very, very highly prized when there's nothing else, because you got to cook. You got to cook with something.
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about oils. Big jugs of oil, I mean, they don't go bad.
Right.
Sorry, man.
Well, it's good that the female has brought in the cooking perspective here.
No, that's why I asked. Good.
The Crisco lard store as well too.
Mm-hmm. Matt, I got to give you kudos as spelling everything right there on your name tag. I had on mine a while ago, investigator of tyranny, but my stupid autocorrect, I didn't know it for 2 weeks. I had up there investigator of trannies. So I got some interesting comments, I'll tell you.
Wow.
I imagine you did.
Damn autocorrect.
Yeah. Double AMCO, buddy.
And you know how many people everybody, and I know this isn't what we're talking about, but since you brought it up, you know how many people that I run into and talk to even here on YouTube and online that we all talk about tyranny at some point in time or another, but when they see the word, they don't know how to pronounce it. They say, they go, I was commenting in a chat last night, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, "Oh, and welcome, resist the tyrant," and it's like, I've heard you say the word like 10 times in the last 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Tyranny.
If you remember the first time Michelle saw your name on my YouTube page, she goes, "Resist the tranny."
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
No, but I had it up there for 2 weeks. Had no idea why was I getting these weird messages. So what the heck kind of thing do people think of me? And I even got a couple pictures too, which I was not impressed with. I tell you,
Wow.
you
Wow.
talk about wanting to bunker down, close the doors, and not look at society again. I'll send you one of those pictures.
No, that's
Well,
okay.
You
that's
don't want to
right.
look at anything again.
Man.
Oh, we started talking about that, and General Banter left.
No, he
He
fell
got
for a
out
while.
before that conversation
Oh.
started.
He
He
was-
think
I
he
think
knew it was
lucky.
coming.
Yeah, he's
His
probably.
connection dropped.
Who's leading this expedition?
Yeah, me.
Sorry, Rick. I'll shut up now. Go ahead. You had a list there, stuff you wanted to cover.
No, you're good. We're actually one of the other items was basically weapon storage and lockup, and that's pretty much talking just basically about. Oh, Banner's back. The different types of storage, locks up, biometrics, codes, locks. You know, what do you guys got? Any? Me personally, I got kind of a little bit of everything. I just bought a new biometric one. I'm gonna do a review on, try it out, and then do a review on it. But it's more or less just seeing what your guys' thoughts are. Me personally, I have kids at the house, so I keep everything locked up, as it should be, in my opinion. But you know, are you guys basically are you out there vacuum sealing stuff and burying it? Or are you keeping it at home? Are you putting it in different locations? I mean, what's some of the ways that you guys would, you know, what are your thoughts? All that wrapped into a, what do you think? Bam!
Well, I'll just get mine out of the way because it's the exact opposite of yours. I don't lock up any of my guns. I don't believe in safes. I don't believe in biometrics. I don't believe in lock boxes. As far as I'm concerned, a locked up gun is a gun you might as well not have. If you need it, if you need it to the point where you have to go unlock it, you're already dead.
Well, no, see, I always have one on me, but what I'm saying is I keep them all locked up so that little wandering people don't have, you know, options.
Well, I mean, I also have kids, and this is by no means, I'm not saying anything bad about you at all, but in my opinion, if you raise your kids right around guns, then they respect them, and you shouldn't have to lock them up.
No, I agree with that. It's just with all the rules and regulations in my shitty state.
Oh well, if it's your state laws, then that's different.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, and
It's here in Canada too. We got to lock everything up. I mean, that's the law. You can get away with it. You still get away with it here. There's people, which is it still happens until, you know, the RCMP kind of go, yeah, you kind of have to lock them up, buddy.
Now, Rick, you said you have both. Now, what do you find faster?
Too much, but you know, it's one of those things. If he didn't say anything and something happened, it'd be shit. But Matt's right. I was raised around them and on a farm, and there was always guns on the rack. We just knew, you know what I mean? Like father said to you, you know, you.
well, and it's, I mean, that's
Now,
I
once
mean,
I got
that's
old
how I was
enough,
raised.
yeah, but you know, again, you know, you might have a spouse that might not agree with that. You might have the law. You might have a neighborhood that, you know what, I'm more afraid of somebody actually coming in and stealing my weapons, quite frankly. You know, not here I'm not, but back home I would have been, you know. Matt's right.
No, for sure, and I basically feel the same way. That's how I was raised as well, but you know, different times, crappy state, you know.
Yeah, if it's your state laws, I mean, then you can't. I mean, it's either lock them up or run the chance of going to jail, and then you're doing no good for anybody sitting in jail. I totally get that, but like here in Ohio, there is no storage laws. There is no there's very little transporting laws, in fact, and like my youngest son, when he was 8, 9 years old, if I needed my well, this is usually my bedside gun, my Taurus. And if I needed that for some reason, at 9 years old. It stays loaded, chambered, hammered back. I'd send him upstairs. Boy, go get my pistol. And he'd bring it down in the condition he found it, because he has respect for it. He knows the damage it can do. He knows how to tear apart the vast majority of my guns. He helps me load them. He's gone shooting with me. I mean, just it's the same way I was raised. I mean, from the time I was 8 years old, I started shooting with my grandpa. And when I was a teenager, my grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and his sidearm was a 1911. And one of the things they had to do was know how to disassemble, reassemble, and reload their sidearm blindfolded. Because as a pilot, if you go down, you're not necessarily in a lit area. And he had me doing that as a teenager with a 1911.
Cool.
And it's one of those things where, you know, obviously, other than state laws and all that other stuff, I don't see the need or use or benefit of a lockbox, locker, or safe.
Yeah. Well, and that's the reason why those, you know, some of those biometric ones and some of there's some fast code ones, you know, those are the things that help us in our state to, you know, and you strategically put them around the house, but they're in a lockbox. So if your kids' friends come over, the biggest thing is the kids' friends. Like, my kids shoot, you know, they've been shooting since they were about 5. But you know, everything from a BB gun on its way up. But it's not for them so much. It's basically, you get a friend that comes over. I'm at work, you know, they find this thing sitting in a deal. You know, kids are, you know, their kids are kids. You can only trust them so much.
Now, Rick, you said you had both kinds. I was going to ask this earlier. What do you think you can get into quicker out of your safes? Punching in a 4-digit code or using your thumbprint? And how reliable are the thumbprints? Do they error very often?
You know what? I just got it last week. I would say that I'm not super impressed with the biometric as of yet. And the reason why is there is times when you basically rub your finger across the deal and then the gun falls and then, you know, it's right there to get. But it's brand new, so I give it some time, and, you know, I'm not going to just say it's a pile of junk yet. But I
think it might be worth doing a review on sometime once you use it for a while. Yeah,
usually I do. It takes a while. I have one that's in the stud wall one. I have a video out on it that I did 2 years of in and out every day, at least twice a day, before I did a review on it. And that one was good, but it was a little loud. So if you basically heard something, punch in the code, but you could hear the solenoid where it would release the latch, and it'd make like a big clunk noise. So it's not very loud, but in the middle of the night at 2 in the morning when it's pitch quiet or, you know, very quiet, you're gonna hear that. But I mean, there's different ones. Like the one, I don't know if you saw the video where it's the one I take on an airplane.
Yes.
You know, and it's got the little code one. Those are pretty slow, and those are I wouldn't use one of those. The electronic keypad was, in my opinion, faster than, because the problem is at night you can't, you know, it doesn't light up when you want it. But it's good for when you're traveling.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people get upset when I say this word, but I do see some benefits of like having an RFID chip on your gun safe, because apparently you just walk to it, beep, it opens up. But I haven't seen it firsthand. But anything else, I don't like the RFID chips for. But for that might be an option. I don't know. Gentlemen, ladies.
I'm against anything on a safe that requires some sort of power. Because the battery will die, and it will die at the wrong time.
They all got backup keys, though. They all got a key.
They all have a backup key, and that's fine. But guess what? I mean, and guess what happens? And I've dealt with this, not on a safe, but on you know, something else, where you have a backup key. Where's the backup key normally kept?
It's probably on a coat hanger.
It's probably in a
Hell
junk
yeah.
drawer somewhere or whatever. At least in my case, you forget about it. And when you need that backup key, you can't find that backup key. Just anything that, and don't get me wrong, I love technology, but for things that like this, it's just fingerprint readers are completely iffy at best. I've known enough people that have had laptops that have the thumb readers and they never work. You know, to log in, they've never worked.
Mm-hmm.
The less electronics you have on something, the better. I'm like Matt. I don't have anything yet as far as where my guns are stored. They're basically in bags and they're hiding behind my green screen, basically. You know, it's by no means a secure system, but there's only one person that lives in my house, and that's me. So I don't have to worry about kids. I don't have to worry about, you know, other people that come over that might just start looking around my house, because the only people that come into my house are people that I invite. So.
Well, I was peeking in your window the other day, but from what I've seen, it looked nice.
and that's where I back off a little bit on what I say when it's like in Rick's case, when there's other kids coming over.
Mm-hmm.
You can teach your kids the respect for the gun. You don't have that kind of time with your neighbor's kids or the kids from down the block or the kids from school that are going to come over and play. So I truly understand where he's coming from on that, and I totally respect that, because that is safer for them, because you don't know those kids. You don't know that those kids aren't going to be, you know, overly curious about your guns. Now, when it comes to safes in general, as far as prepping, what we've been talking about this whole time, from a security standpoint, I think they're a double-edged sword, because again, if you need it and it's not directly handy, what kind of a mess have you gotten yourself into? On the flip side, if they're out and you're starting to get overrun by people, they're readily available for somebody to steal. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that.
Sure. Well, and that's kind of the reason why I was asking you guys, you know, not having all your eggs in one basket. Because, like, if you think of a solar flare or whatever, you know, and basically it wipes out your electronics, you know, me personally, I'm going to be shit out of luck with a lot of firearms. Like, if I can't get into my safe, I'm, you know, all the good stuff's in there. You know, I want to be stuck with a few handguns.
I don't know about your state, but I know here in Canada it says that they've got to be in the safe. But from what I've read, I can't see anything where it says the door has to be closed.
Ah,
Loophole.
good one. Good one.
Actually,
good point.
Yep, you're
right,
definitely in the fire service.
It says it has to be secured. So
Nice try, Steven.
Damn.
there's the catch, Stephen. You're right. It doesn't say anything about the door having to be closed. You're absolutely bang on right, but it does say it must be secured.
Leave it to Banner to rain on your parade.
What's the definition of secured, though? I mean, it's behind a closed door. So is the open safe in your closet with a closet door closed?
Exactly. Your Honor, I would like to introduce my lawyer, Matt from the attorney. He will be taking my case today. Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a damn good point. Fulfill the obligations, right? It's arguable.
You know, in Michigan recently lifted their helmet law. Last year they did. And so many people were beating their previous helmet law because of the wording. It said that you had to wear head protection. It said nothing about DOT-approved helmets or anything like that. People were riding around with bandanas on their head and getting pulled over for no helmet. And their lawyer would go, no, it says nothing about a helmet in the law. See? It says head protection.
Nice.
Right. It sounds from these things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't want people taking it too far. Like if I go to my local 7-Eleven, it says no shirt, no shoes, no service. It doesn't say anything about pants. I don't want people walking around with no pants.
No, but I mean,
you
articulation
started
is
it.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you got no one to blame but yourself on that one, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, Matt, this is why they make laws on top of laws on top of laws, because they got to keep fixing all these little problems that the lawyers find loopholes in. That's what ends up happening. And amendments to acts and so forth.
Well, if they quit writing all this, so-called lawyer speak bullshit, and just write down common sense laws like was written in the first 10 amendments, basically plain English,
Yeah.
you get around all that shit because instead of saying head protection, trying to make it sound all fancy and shit, just simply say must wear DOT approved helmet, period. Or must have in safe and locked. See, 4 words as opposed to all that gibberish and bullshit, secured this and, this and that and another, and you're done with it.
Johnny for
But there'd be no
president.
need for lawyers then.
That's what I'm
Amen.
saying. It's all about it's all about creating paychecks, man.
I'd be out of
There's more
a
government
job.
workers there's more government workers than there is freaking civilians at most times, I'm starting to think.
If everything made sense, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
There'd be no need for resist the tranny.
Hey, no.
Right?
Nice.
But to answer the safe question, I have 2. One is basically what is called deemed a gun cabinet, traditional wood cabinet with the glass door, basically a gun display case with the little cheesy little lock on it. That's pretty well all I've ever had, other than a gun rack on the wall. Obviously, before I was living here in this townhouse, but here recently I bought one of those cheap Sentinel stack-ons, which is just the metal case, not insulated, and the big double door, just with one little key bolt lock. And that's because Michelle has little ones, and they haven't been around guns long enough to have that respect. Hadn't been around me long enough for me to teach them that full respect, and me to have 100% trust in them. You know what I mean? Around them. Yet, so that's we keep ours locked up, but not all of them are. I keep my pistol with me. Either it's on my side or laying beside me, and then at night when I go to bed, it goes up there and it lays on my nightstand. Same with Michelle, with hers. But we do have her Mosin is leaned up in the corner beside the gun safe. Obviously, it's not loaded, but it's there. And so far, they hadn't tried to mess with anything because we've both tried to teach them the respect for guns and stuff, and answer all their curious questions and this, that, and another. But we do keep them locked up, not because of state law or anything like that, but just simply because we hadn't built that trust factor yet with their knowledge of firearms.
We got a question from Mike DeLucia. I hope I said that right. I'm running another deal here. The question is it a bad idea to hunker down and stay home, if at all possible? Is it a bad idea to hunker down and stay home, if at all possible? I would say no. I know you guys have a lot. I would hunker down as long as you can until your spidey senses are telling you it's time to go. We talked about that earlier about L.A. basically erupting into a big ball of crap, and it's spiraling down and finally getting into our area where those are kind of the key triggers, like start boarding up, get stuff ready, get stuff out and ready, and then hunker down, and as long as you can. And if it gets too bad, I believe you're gonna be able to see the columns of smoke as it makes its way to you. I live in a pretty kind of mostly urban area, so you're gonna see buildings basically catch on fire as it gets closer to you. What do you guys think?
I think it all depends on your situation and your location. In my case, I have to bug in. I live in the middle of a city. I've got nowhere to go. I've got no family around here or anything, and medically I'm limited. So I have to bunker in or die, one of the two. But I think it all depends on your situation. I don't think anybody can tell you. You're gonna have to figure out, well, if I do have to leave, where can I go? Is there something I can set up? Things like that for your area, your family, your situation. So I don't think any of us can answer it properly. We can just give you our opinion on different select topics.
Also, not only where you're at, but what the situation, the reason why you're bunkering in or hunkering down. Is it because of a natural disaster? I mean, if you're flooded, you don't want to spend time in your home. If say the worst case scenario as far as like a martial law type thing, or a police state, and
we have that now.
You got jackboots walking down your street with their MRAPs and guns pointed at you. Do you want to stay at home at that point, or would you do you want to be out of town as best as possible? I mean, at that point you're either a prisoner in your own home, or you leave. So a lot of that question, the answer depends on the situation you're in.
Yeah, it's one of my most viewed videos on my channel. It talks about that, looking for the signs, what signs to look for in a shift scenario. The idea is that, it's just like everybody has said so far. What the scenario that is unfolding, what you see is what the duration is going to be, the severity, how well you're prepped. If you have an egress route planned, is it passable? Do you have multiple egress routes? Are they plausible and passable? Where are you going? And again, are you able to escape it? So even if you're leaving the area, is there any point in leaving? Have you waited too long? When there's a hurricane coming, I always suggest to people, well, if there's a hurricane getting ready to hit there, board up the windows early, take an early vacation as quick as you can, and head to Uncle Jack's upstate, and call ahead to see if there's the coast is clear up there first and foremost. But again, it's going to depend on how you prep, what the scenario is. Like Matt had said, there's so many factors.
I agree. One thing though, I was sitting here thinking about is, you have to make that decision based on what's going on around you. But you also have to think about, unless you have other caches stored places, you have X amount of food and water in your house. Whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it might be. Can't carry all that with you. So
Nope.
Whatever you're taking with you is it. So that may be only 2 or 3 days. So that's something to consider, leaving your castle.
That's where we talk about bug out locations, about having secondary ones if need be, or extra food caches, weapon caches, so on. Longer routes of egress if needed. Obviously my whole channel is devoted to that stuff, so go back into my vault. I've spoken about all of it, but Jennifer's absolutely correct. If you leave with the clothes on your back and what you've gathered out of the cupboards, you better have a plan, because if you don't, you're aimlessly wandering around, or say, I know there's a wooded area over here, we're going to go there. The other thing is, well, what time are you doing this at? Are you deciding to finally, you got to get out because the fires, as Rick said, are now on the horizon line? Well, guess what? it's not a smart idea to go and venture out there in the friggin' dark because you think, okay, this sounds like a good spot. Morning comes, and luck would have it, 100 feet beyond, over top of a ridge, there was a bigger threat than you ever even thought imagined. And just luck was it didn't touch you that night. You know, or there was a huge cliff there, or whatever the case is, because you didn't go ahead and check out your options beforehand.
Yeah, I missed that, Luke. What was your channel again?
It's Jennifer Young. It's a great channel.
I think he only has one video, right?
Me? Yeah. I think I had Matt and Jen in it. So.
Yeah, one video. I think it's a shout out or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, and then kind of like we were talking about earlier, we've talked about it actually with Steven and General Banner before. You know, that we were talking about a group of individuals, and we have, some of us have some trailers that we have set up. One of the guys has a bitchin' trailer he's been designing for a couple years now, and it has water, food. I mean, it's basically a multi. You hook it up to the truck, and you head off into our little designated area, which is in a forest. And basically, our plan was to, I'll give it up, is to drop a bunch of trees on the way in. There's an escape route on the way out, an old trail, but you basically it was to drop a bunch of trees all the way up through this forest and just basically keep people out of the area. And there's homes in there that we would have to contend with. There's going to be a few homeowners up there, but there's a large water source. There's a gas station. There's a lot of stuff that can be used if you really needed it.
Now, do you guys own this property or know the owner?
No, this is right in the forest. It's basically a town in the middle of a forest.
Somebody owns that,
really
right?
A town. It's
My only concern is somebody else claim that and they come out and they're also armed, you might have a problem.
Oh, train.
Yeah, that's right. If you're there first, guess what? You got the upper hand. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guy that's been trying to help people for 25 years, so I'm not a guy that's wanting to do any damage or be a bad guy. But if for some reason I have to,
if that happens, I'm calling the phone company and telling them you owe money because those bastards can find you anywhere.
True story. That's so freaking true.
It is.
Yeah.
They hire them from the IRS agents, right?
They must.
Yeah.
They just find you on your cell phone. Hell, the police can do it without a warrant. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything on your phone now is incriminating, I believe. At least that's what I've been hearing around the thing. They, search and seizure, and basically, hey, can I look your phone? You give them the okay, which wouldn't be a great idea. But I don't even know if they even have to ask now. But they can scroll through your pictures and check out all your YouTube videos you made on YouTube.
I know in some places, if your phone is locked, they can't do it. But if they take your phone, it's unlocked, they can view everything.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a little different between the states.
No, that's working its way through Canadian courts right now, as a matter of fact, and it's passing through. They've basically made a decision that it's not your personal property, and the fact that you've been arrested, you can look through the phone, but if it's locked, you basically got to get a warrant. It's a locked door. You need a warrant to get through it, and that's the bottom line. How they're getting around that is they take the card out, the media card, so they can still get your contacts and so on and so forth, because that's not locked, but the device is locked. But something they can.
I don't know if you have something similar to our Fourth Amendment, Luke, up there, but it amazes me how something, and Johnny said it earlier, how plain English, just easy to understand, our Bill of Rights is. and somehow or another they can twist it to say that something you purchased with your own money
is theirs.
And pictures or whatever that you've taken under your own free will is somehow or another not your private property.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me how far we've let that go.
Well, and that's just it. They chip away slowly but surely. I mean, we watch new laws get implemented all the time. Even when I was in law enforcement, they would hand down new laws and say, there's an amendment to this, there's an amendment to that. You look through any of your laws. Matter of fact, U.S. law, since I've been on YouTube trying to understand some of it, it is incredible. You guys have more amendments and more changes to laws that you have, laws on top of laws on top of laws. It's incredible. It's like the Daily Shooter had said. He says, murder is already illegal. Why do you need anything on top of that? You know what I mean? And he's bang on right. You know, why do you need any gun laws when you really think about it? The fact is that if you're worried about murdering somebody, well, murder's already illegal. What more laws do you need than that one? You know? You know, so I agree with that aspect of it. I agree that they're already taking way too many freedoms and they're poking their nose in everything. But again, you get a blanket thing like the Patriot Act, for God's sakes. And I couldn't believe it when that sucker got passed. And even in Canada, I just looked and went, oh, that's bad. Because one stroke of a pen and it's over. You know, you lose everything.
And all the damn executive orders Obama's been passing in the middle of the night and stuff like that. They're ridiculous.
Actually, Johnny wrote a really good article about this subject that recently got posted on resisttyranny.com. It's about the stripping away of rights.
I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah,
I've wrote on it.
Talking about that.
You'll see it's got fire on it. It's really cool looking. Second Amendment with.
Well, I tell you, the more because I'm sick, I basically investigate this stuff all day. Don't have a whole lot of other stuff to do, and I tell you, people don't realize how important it is for us to hang on to the Second Amendment, or any amendment for that matter, because if they're able to overcome one, they're going to overcome all. And the perfect example is in the UK. The UK, they don't have very many guns over there. So now you can Google it. They're trying to ban kitchen knives. And if you're a chef or something like that, you have to apply for a license to have a damn knife. Well, what the hell? What's next?
Gordon Ramsay won't fall for that.
Yeah, 10,000 people a year are killed in the U.S. by baseball bats. Are they going to ban those next? If you let the Second Amendment go, everything's going to go to a point of such utter ridiculousness. Not that that's a word, but
it's not.
I don't think so.
I use it all the time.
I do too.
I don't know how to spell it, but I use it.
Yeah, I got that vocabulary toilet paper, and I've been trying different things.
That and ass hattery.
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is, Stephen, is you get the vocabulary toilet paper. What do you do with the words you don't like?
Idiot, better not tell it on here.
I'll be right back.
No, I'm just starting out, but if you guys ever get the chance, I have a blog that I'm starting there. So I have a few things in it. It's what you believe is wrong.blogspot.ca. If you guys get a chance, check that out there. Sometimes I get long-winded when I type, but there's pretty good information there, hopefully. And as I said at the beginning of the going live here, I'm going to start doing more on my YouTube page too. So I'll definitely check you guys out. And if you get a chance, check my stuff out.
Hey, Stephen, I've been looking at some of that stuff. Remember the links that you shared earlier?
Oh, my database?
Yeah, very good stuff. I mean, I don't know.
You think you get to the end, you hit the down button, and 1,000 more things come up.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff to look at.
Oh,
if you want to
showing
know.
us Obama toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
That's something I'd want to wipe my ass with.
This is what I wipe my ass on.
Exactly.
I'd cut each one of those into little mini targets.
Well, I put some target bits all over it, all right.
Is that
As Rick was saying,
double
guys,
ply?
I have a debate.
Do what?
What'd you say, Jim?
I said, is that double ply?
Actually, it is.
Oh, there you go.
It's good quality. It's 2-ply.
It probably doesn't work worth a shit with his head on there.
No, it don't. You get ink all over your ass.
As Rick was saying earlier, guys, I have a database online that if you guys want access to, just send me a little note and I'll give you the link. It's got almost 5,000 different articles and books and stuff like that pertaining to prepping. That's got everything from solar power to gardening to everything you can think of. So just send me a message if anybody's interested.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Stephen, what's your channel name
Well,
so I can find you?
My YouTube channel is Down the Rabbit Hole.
Okay.
And that's more to do with tyranny and how far the government goes and all that stuff, and even farther than a lot of people are prepared to go. And I also have a blog, as I said earlier. It's Everything You Believe Is Wrong.blogspot.ca.
All right.
You know what's hard though, when I looked you up, Stephen, after we had that the chat, is there's a few down the whatever the heck it was.
The rabbit hole, yeah, I didn't realize that once I did it.
Yeah, I'm like, well, shit, there's like 15 of these damn things.
Yeah, that's why I went back, and most people can go to my Google Plus page, and I'll link it over. But I started them all up separately, and I didn't think I was going to do anything on them, just maybe one or two things. And once I became sicker, where I'm basically couch surfing a lot of the day, then I started to do this stuff. And I tell you, I've got a lot of information, and as soon as I think I know it all, you find something else and find out you don't know shit. You got to go back for more, kind of thing. But I tell you, I was really mad at eBay today. I'm going to boycott eBay because they sent me a message to change my password. So I typed in the word "my penis" and it come up and said, "Sorry, too short."
Ba-da-dum-bum-bum.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like Matt's going to be heading out here in a few minutes. Looks like Banner wants to tell him something real quick, though. So if anybody has a question for him before... we've only had one question. We've had quite a bit. We've had up to 8 viewers, which is good. I don't know if we're 6 of them, but...
I'm one of them.
You're one of them?
I was, but I'm not now, so...
All right. Well, I've learned a lot. It's been a good time.
Absolutely.
This
The
is
more we do
amazing.
this, the better.
All right. Quick question before Matt leaves. AK or AR?
Yep, here we go.
Don't answer the question.
You did it now.
No, the reason why I was asking is I saw you with Space Buns shooting, having fun. You guys look like you had a blast out there. That was cool.
We did. We had a really good time. And AK all day.
Yeah. I gotta get me one of those. I got a few ARs, but no AKs. But yeah, it looks like she was having help with those clays there for a little while. You helped her out though. Good training.
Hey, if I want to go to the range, I take an AR. If I want to go into combat, I think I take the AK.
There you go.
Yep.
You got 2 fingers. Bring both of them.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at Johnny. He's like, this is a bunch of bullshit right here.
Matt and I have had multiple hour-long discussions on this and other subjects, so I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
Looks like I'm siding with Johnny.
Does your answer have an R or a K in it?
It's a gay.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No.
I know they're more
I'm
reliable.
kidding. I'm an AR guy, so that's why I was saying I'm just going to be quiet. So I'm outnumbered.
Oh, I'm with you, Johnny.
You should have said 1911 or Glock. That would have been a better conversation.
Glock for sure.
Glock.
Yeah, buddy.
Mhm.
Why can I not be in a chat where the word
Yeah,
Glock
come
isn't
on,
brought up?
Jen. Come on,
I'm trying to think
huh?
of. I'm
If
trying
I
to
were
think of all the
forced,
things that get brought up that everybody loves arguing about.
if I were forced to settle for a 1911 or a Glock, I would have to take the Glock. But
Yeah, I
since
bet
I'm
you.
not, I'll keep my Sig.
I knew you were gonna say Sig. I knew you were gonna say Sig.
What
I
type
like
of Glock, Johnny?
I like the lower sights. Okay, here's a question for you then. How about M&P Shield? Or no, M&P or Glock?
I like the Glock, but you know, M&P's pretty nice, buddy. I don't know, man. I've
Yeah.
seen a catastrophic failure with one, but I think that was ammo related. But
Are you talking like MP5 kind of thing?
No, it's the Smith & Wesson M&P series.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's a copy Glock with some added.
Actually, I seen one today. It's had some added, like a light brown hardware on it.
No, but the slide's got a little more meat to it, and there's a couple little things. The
Oh.
Glock trigger's better, I think.
If you're talking, never mind. I'm not going to open up that can, but yeah.
Yeah, remember I'm here.
I was just say I got Jen in the room and I got Matt over there, and we got I don't know.
You
I
can't
had
win
this
either way.
conversation last night, actually, with Joel Sweatman. Had this conversation. He asked about the M&P 40, and I don't like Smith & Wesson semi-auto pistols. I think they make a great revolver, but I think their semi-auto pistols, at least in my experience, are overpriced for what they are.
Even the new M&P series?
Well, there's a M&P 40, this specific one that Joel Sweatman was talking about to me last night, in the gun case of my FFL, and it's like $125 more than the Glock 19 that's sitting right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
He's way overcharging.
I mean, that's what Smith & Wesson charges for them.
The prices here are comparable. Glock or M&Ps, they're pretty similar. So
$540 right there for us.
You guys got to buy one and bring it up to Canada for me.
If you go right to Smith & Wesson's website, and they're 600, 650, 625.
Oh, sure, the MSRP, sure, that doesn't mean, it sounds like that gun shop's being a little too close to, because like I said, I've seen them both locally, and they're not that far off from each other.
But I did say last night also that I believe the Glock is overpriced too, but I like the Glock. I like how it feels in my hand. I like how it shoots. I like the versatility of it. I like the fact that it's interchangeable with other Glock parts and magazines and all that, where the M&Ps are not.
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself, even if they were the same price, would sell me on the Glock over the M&P. So
I can agree with you on that, and I'm not a Glock fan nor a Smith fan, to be honest. But if it was one of the two, I would take the Glock simply because, like you said, the interchangeableness of them, and I can pick up any Glock mag, and as long as it's it's 9 or 40, whatever the caliber, I can just slap it in there and go with it.
Good times. How about tactical shotguns? Someone's busting in through your door, you grabbing a pistol or a shotgun or a rifle?
Shotgun.
No, I'm going for the pistol if I've got a choice. But a 12, yeah. I wouldn't not grab it either. I don't know.
Well,
I don't have a shotgun, so I'm limited to.
Cause say you're
Go stand in
basically
the corner,
running
Jennifer.
double odd buck. Like I got a Mossberg, and it's the SPX. I can't remember what model it is. It's a tactical one that holds 8+1, and it's so basically you're getting 9.38s times 9 coming out of there. So 81 rounds of 38. But on the other end, like Matt said, that's one of the ones I'd have to go to the. Basically, what I have up in the bedroom area is all pistols.
Yeah. You see, here's the thing. The problem is that it's. I think personally, if you know where the threat is coming from, yeah, maybe you could go with that route. But if you got to go search for the threat, I'm going to stick with a handgun.
Just for close quarters combat, easier to corner and pie the rooms, or what?
It's easier to keep it close to you and discharge, the weapon and maintain that weapon, right? So weapon retention is the way I'm thinking about it. If you've got good training with weapon retention, a rifle and such, it can be just as easy to retain, or if not easier, than a handgun in certain situations. But again, there's not as much meat there to grab, if you know what I mean. So if I'm sitting back waiting in my bedroom for the guy to come through the door, or whichever, again, maybe I would go. I don't know. Ideally, no. I think a handgun would be a better way of going myself.
Any other opinions?
I just think so.
Well, I've always thought that a shotgun is the best home defense, and I agree with what Banter's saying, with what Luke's saying, as far as weapons retention and ease of being able to move through your house if you have to, search out, the threat. One of the biggest reasons I've always said that I thought a shotgun with birdshot, in fact, is the best home defense weapon is. More than likely you're shooting in the dark, so
yeah.
that spread helps with the birdshot.
You're not going to be seeing really good either if they wake you up in the middle of the night. So
also, you're less likely to shoot your neighbor if you miss.
Yeah. No, but that's a really good point, Matt. I mean, it is. Collateral damage, whether it's your kids in the house or whatever the case is as well. You got to think about these things. If you think of a birdshot, you might be better off.
Yeah, you lose energy faster. Your lead's gonna lose energy, which will be less penetration, which is awesome. And birdshot's gonna hurt like son of a bitch and kill just as much as double-aught buck.
Well, I've been shot with birdshot and I lived, right? Where, of course, there's been a lot of people that have shot with frickin' 9mm or 40 or whatever and still live too. So who's to say?
Yeah. Personally, if you've never shot a gun indoors, I just assume not shoot somebody in my house if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean that's a point too, but that is such a good point.
You can always ask them where they'd like to die at, I guess.
But for a legal standpoint, you're probably better shooting them inside than they are out.
Oh yeah. I just brought that up that in case nobody's ever shot a gun indoors without hearing protection on any gun, even a .22, you want to talk about ringing your bell. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, guys, I'm not very handy with tools or anything like that, but I see that legally I can order those new 80% polymer lowers for the AR-15 that still has things that need to be drilled out there. Does it take much work? Do you have to be pretty skilled to do that, or is it pretty easy?
It's pretty easy. You can do it with standard drill press and a small amount of skill.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's weird. You can't buy it assembled, but you can buy that, and I can have a full kit sent to me, and that's legal. But they can't be sent together.
Get aluminum. Get aluminum if you have a little bit of machining ability. You're going to need a drill press and also a cross lathe that goes back and forth.
I don't know if I can get the aluminum, like if I follow the law 100%.
Oh.
Because they're really talking about this polymer stuff. But I even got, for if anybody has a 3D printer, I have the templates you can make your full AR-15. I don't have an AR printer. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford one. But
I did some extra reading on that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, what was the difference between the polymer? Does the law say it can be made of plastic, but not aluminum?
Well, I just know that company, I talked to them on the phone, and they said they were allowed to send me the polymer one, but they couldn't send me anything else.
Oh, I don't know anything.
And it had to be the one that was that you had to drill. I couldn't get it all pre-done.
And I don't know, so I can't tell you.
What good are you? You're supposed to know this.
Yeah, this is the one time I can actually say I don't fucking know. I just
I thought
don't
we'd
know.
just go to some vault and you'd be able to give us a video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much everything else. Yeah, and if not, then go to the rest of y'all, checking your own vault because you probably got it there. It's
So there's no
probably done
video.
better.
So there's no video on that. Then is that what you're saying?
No, there's no video on that. I would suggest to go over. You know what? Here's my suggestion:
Oh,
go over and
God.
see Al Owen, or go over and see. Well, certainly, Johnny. Have you rebuilt one, or no? Or have you built one, or no? Are you the only one down there that hasn't built one?
Now, I've built an AR through kits before. The one I own now, I haven't, but I've never done the 80%.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of wondering whether or not. I don't think 504 did his though. He basically built his all from kits too, did he not?
Yeah, he bought the already
Yeah.
made lower, you know, and put the kit in it.
I-
I don't know anybody.
He went and bought a whole. He just went to and got a Smith and Wesson M&P 15.
I've built a couple of them, and they're not that hard. There's some you could purchase, at least before all this gun crap was going on, where you could get an 80 plus 2%, and you still there was a lot of drilling still. You needed to buy the jig, you needed to have a pretty a nice straight drill press, but the drill press only goes down. You need to have on the base plate of it, you need it to be able to go back and forth this way so you could hone out certain parts. But you know what? It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about the weapon just having to build it myself.
Oh, Matt's leaving.
Bye, Matt.
Take care, Matt. It's great meeting you. You have
All
an
right,
awesome
guys.
page.
All right,
All right,
I
later,
appreciate it. Thanks for the invite, and it's been fun.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you coming.
See you, Matt.
All right.
Okay. See you guys.
But the 80% was I basically went online. There was not a book, but basically all these different chapters that I printed out. And what I did was, in order to stay legal, I kept all the aluminum that I drilled out. I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I have it still. So if DOJ wants to come, and they can basically take the aluminum for the shavings. I don't know if there's a machine or a way to even tell DNA of metal, but they could take from the receiver, and they would know that those two matched up.
Mm-hmm.
I have basically all the little notes and all the stuff, and that way I don't want to. I'm not a bad guy. I don't want to go to jail. So
what you're saying is you're covering your 6.
I'm covering my 6. Yeah, exactly, Steve. But it was an enjoyable project, but it was it's hard to do if you don't I had a buddy that has done one prior to mine, so I could ask him some questions before, because once you drill, you're committed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I got a jet. I gotta see if I can get Matt on the phone. I really need to talk to him before he gets off, because I think he's gonna be going to bed because he's probably got work in the morning. And it's almost 2 o'clock here in the morning. So I'm gonna jet. Thank you ever so much for having me on and just sending that invite out. I really appreciate that, Rick. Just fantastic. Thanks for everybody. Just the dialogue was fantastic. I learned a lot tonight, guys, and nice seeing everybody once again. And so. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
all right,
take care, Luke.
Yeah, take care. Be safe and be prepared. My my side off. Take care, guys.
Have a
Jim
good one.
will see you tomorrow night, hopefully.
I'm gonna follow him out too, guys. Well,
right.
I'm not gonna follow him out, but you know what I mean.
Oh, sure, you stalker.
Stalker. You're a stalker.
No, Rick, I appreciate the invite. Good chat tonight.
No worries. Thanks for coming.
A lot
Appreciate
of great information. So glad I could at least contribute something.
Yeah.
You were a rock star.
It was great meeting you, Jennifer.
Yeah, same here. I got your G plus follow circle, whatever those things are called. So I went ahead and
it's
took care of
Chingus.
that.
Chingus is a California word.
All right.
You guys have a good one.
Take care.
Have a good
All right.
one.
Later.
So how's old Johnny doing?
All right.
How long we been cooking on this thing?
Man, I don't even know.
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
I'm kidding. I have no idea.
That's funny. You guys got any topics to talk about, or you guys got stuff to do, or what do you got going?
Probably head off shortly myself. I don't know about
Yeah, I'm gonna need to dip out shortly myself. So.
All right. Well, let's end the chat. I appreciate you guys coming. Had a good time. This is my first live chat. I'm actually going to leave up.
Cool.
The rest of them were all just disasters, trying to figure everything out. And thanks, Johnny helped me out a lot. A couple times I was dying. I'm drowning. Someone help me. But thank you again, and take care.
All right. Take care, guys. See ya.
All right. Later,
Okay,
everybody.
Have a good one. Bye.